What's going on, everybody? My name is Tyler, and today is day number 10. I've run out of fingers. Next time, I guess we're going to have to go to the toes to figure out what day we're on. No pun intended. I know how to count without using my fingers, just saying. But day number 10 out of 32 for my 32 straight days of 32 NFL previews ahead of the 2020 NFL season. If you haven't watched the first 9, highly recommend. Link to the full playlist will be down below in the description. You should know that already. You should probably have your, the notification bell or whatever it is. I don't know, YouTube turned on to know when the next video has been posted. If you haven't figured it out, it's every day at 10 a.m. for the next 32 days. But this episode, we're going to be looking at the Denver Broncos, who I am most excited to watch in 2020 outside of my favorite team in the New York Giants. Then again, Giants are probably going to stink. So maybe the Denver Broncos are my most excited team to watch or the team I'm most excited to watch in 2020. Despite going 7-9 last season, the Broncos have made some major moves that might not guarantee them much success in 2020 in terms of wins, but it will allow them to have success for the next half decade or so. Second-year quarterback Drew Lock has an immense amount of confidence and swagger, and given his play in limited time in 2019, it might be warranted. Lock, he just carries a certain... I'll use swagger again, for lack of a better term, around him every time he steps out onto the field. You can tell he just loves football and loves playing, and I think in a full year as a starter, he will be the next year 2 quarterback to make a massive jump. We saw Patrick Mahomes in 2018, Lamar Jackson last season. Everyone's saying Kyler Murray this season will be the second-year quarterback to make a massive jump. I think it's going to be Drew Lock, a guy who should have been a first-round pick in 2019, wasn't, fell to the second round, and the Broncos might have found their franchise quarterback they've been looking for ever since Peyton Manning retired. Lock has some great weapons around him, with guys like Courtland Sutton, Noah Fant, and Phillip Lindsay, who were all on the roster last season. Sutton has emerged into one of the top wide receivers in all of football, mind you. Lindsay, undrafted, rushes for 1,000 yards each of his first 2 seasons. The Broncos added Melvin Gordon in free agency, so I know I said the Cleveland Browns a couple episodes might have the best 1-2 punch at running back. The Broncos are right there in that competition with Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsay. And they also drafted 2 wide receivers who were expected to go probably much higher than they actually did. Jerry Jeudy at number 15 overall. He probably was expected to go number 11 at least, number 12 at least, to either the Jets or the Raiders. He ends up falling to 15 to the Broncos, and holy cow, that makes his offense so much better. He's one of the best route runners. He was one of the best route runners in this entire draft, arguably the best. And if you saw what he did at Alabama, I think it's going to translate immensely well to this Broncos offense. KJ Hamler as well. He dealt with some injuries his final season in college, but I think he'll be a nice, speedy slot guy for this Broncos team to throw the ball down the field for Lock. Just another option for him. The Broncos defense also looks to be much improved. Bradley Chubb is returning after tearing his ACL. He will play once again alongside Von Miller, who obviously for the last 10 years has been one of the best linebackers in all of football, a former Super Bowl MVP. Justin Simmons at safety. He signed his franchise tag. He's going to play. He dealt with the coronavirus himself, but he looks to be back healthy. He'll be interesting to watch. And they also required a few guys. Jarrell Casey to be on the defensive line. A.J. Boye at corner to help them keep up with offenses in their own division like the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that's what the Broncos have done really, really well for them, for their success this season. They've made moves to help keep up with the firepower of the Kansas City Chiefs. They're playing to win this division. Will they? Probably not. But with the additions they made on defense as well as the additions they made on offense, once the Kansas City Chiefs dynasty starts to take a downturn, the Broncos will be right there to fill their place. And this team will make for great television once the season starts in 2020. Looking at the full Broncos schedule, I'll leave it down below in the description. As always, as well as with my win-loss projections for this team, because got to see where this team's going to go. Week 1, they start off Monday Night Football against the Titans. I do have them losing this game. No, I have them winning this game, actually. Excuse me. I think this defense can handle Derrick Henry. They might start off a little slow, the Titans will. I think the Broncos will feast on that. Week 2, they go on the road to Pittsburgh, take on a tough Steelers squad. A loss right there. Yes, a loss right there. I had to look at my notes. Sorry, I'm not perfect. What can I say? Then they take on Tampa Bay. So you get the battle of the old quarterback who's been there forever, in Tom Brady, or at least in the NFL, not Tampa, taking on the new in Drew Lock. This could be a great battle right here early on in the season. Week 4, they take on the Jets. Week 5, they take on New England, both on the road. Week 6 against Miami. And then Week 7, circle your calendars for the first matchup between the Broncos and the Chiefs. Although I do have the Broncos, I have them splitting their matchups with the Chiefs this season. I'm not too confident in that, but this will be the game that the Broncos do so. Last season, they injured Patrick Mahomes, not on purpose, at least I think, in their first matchup, and I think the Broncos can give Patrick Mahomes fits once again. Of any of the teams in this division, the Broncos can give Patrick Mahomes the most issues, I think, in my opinion. Then they have their bye week, Week 8, good bye week, nice, right in the middle of the season. Week 9, they come out and go to Atlanta, a battle of two, at least on paper, high-powered offenses. Week 10, they take on the Raiders, who I think they'll sweep this season. Week 11, they take on the Chargers at home. I had a toss-up here, whether or not the Broncos would sweep the Chargers or not. I ended up having them split their matchups, but I can definitely see the Broncos winning both games. Week 12, they take on New Orleans, similar to that Week 3 matchup against Tampa Bay. A battle of the old in Drew Brees versus the young in Drew Lock, and two really stellar offenses on paper. Broncos have a lot of those games this season where great offense takes on great offense. Going to be really fun to watch. Week 13 at Kansas City. This will be a revenge game for the Chiefs, at least in my opinion, because the Chiefs will lose that Week 7 game. They'll come back at home to take care of the Broncos. Probably wrap up the division by this point. Who knows? Week 14, the Broncos go to Carolina. Another win there. Week 15, they take on the Bills, which could be a very telling matchup. I do have the Bills winning that game. But maybe if for some reason the Bills don't win the AFC East, this could be a crucial game in terms of the wild card standings. Who knows? And then they finish out at LA at LA for the Chargers, at home with the Raiders. 2 wins right there to wrap up their season and probably secure their spot in the playoffs. I have them going 9-7, clinching the 7th seed in the AFC. Yes, 7th, because there are 7 teams now making the playoffs in both conference. Should be beneficial for the Broncos, really. And this will allow Drew Lock to get that first playoff experience in his young and promising career. Looking at the schedule in full, I mentioned Week 1. I think the Broncos can handle the running game of the Titans. Derrick Henry might have fits, especially if Ryan Tannehill doesn't come out and perform like he is expected to as a franchise quarterback in the NFL. And then there are a bunch of games against offenses where it just will be fun to watch, possible shootout games. Week 3 versus Tampa Bay. Week 7 and 13 against Kansas City. Week 9 at Atlanta. Week 12 against New Orleans. Just great opportunities for NFL fans and great tests for this Denver Broncos offense to see if they can keep up with the best of the best offenses in the entire NFL. They also have some tests against really good defenses, against teams like the Bills and the Patriots. Although I do have them losing to the Bills and beating the Patriots. Right? I had to double check. Yes, I do have them beating the Patriots. No, losing to the Patriots. Excuse me. My notes are all jumbled up. What can I say? I'm not perfect. Sorry. There'll be nice tests for the Bills to see how they stack up. And both teams project to be in the playoffs, the Bills and the Patriots. So maybe possible playoff previews. Who knows? Overall, though, here are the games I'm most looking forward to of the Broncos. First, Week 2 against the Steelers, against another really good defense and an offense that projects to be better than it was last year with the return of Ben Roethlisberger, James Conner, and Juju Smith-Schuster. Good test for that defense, good test for their offense early on. Week 3, I've already talked about in Tampa Bay. Week 7 against the Chiefs, I can't stress it enough. The Broncos, they have their eye on the division. They probably won't get it this year. They probably won't get it next year. But this could be the start of something where they start inching closer to Kansas City. Week 12 at New Orleans, once again, really good offense versus really good offense, at least on paper. And finally, Week 15, Bills at Broncos. Just a home game late in the year, could mean a lot for the AFC playoff picture. Sorry I keep fixing my hat. It's just not on perfectly. Overall, though, like I said, Broncos are going to be 9-7. They're going to get the 7th seed in the AFC, make the playoffs. probably get bounced early on, in my opinion, unless a major injury to their opponent happens. But let me know what you think down below in the comment section. Do the Broncos make the playoffs for the first time in a long time? I guess not such a long time, but you get my point. Is Drew Lock the franchise quarterback that they've been looking for, that John Elway, their GM, has been looking for ever since the retirement of Peyton Manning? How will this offense fare? Because I think this offense will fare really, really well. And to all my friends that play fantasy football for me, possibly watching this, I'm going to try to take a couple Broncos this year. It's going to happen. Cortland Sutton, on my list. Phillip Lindsay, on my list. Drew Lock, definitely on my list. I think that you should too. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Once again, tomorrow we'll be looking at the Detroit Lions. That's going to be an interesting one this season. The Lions in the Motor City. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one, everybody.